Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. Crazy world we live in still. We have our good, bad. You look outside, it's beautiful. And then you look at the world and it's horrible. These are unprecedented times. Almost in some ways worse than I think humanity's ever seen, but I'm probably wrong. I'm sure there's worse. I'm sure there's been worse, and we've read about it, seen it, movies made about it. But it's just like overall on a global scale, such dark times, because you know what in your heart what is right and wrong and what should happen and what's logical, even just if you go from a logical state. And it just feels like everything is slipping through your fingers, and you try to explain to people, well, this isn't a good idea, this isn't a good thing to do, this is a horrible thing to do, and just nobody listens. And it really does feel like you're talking to a tornado, for lack of a better term. That's what it's like in the world, and especially in America right now. So just wanted to come on because, yesterday was pretty bad. I think a lot of us, I know I did, and I've heard other people say the same thing, felt sick over what's going on with Kilmar Garcia and all the, really it's kidnapping. And before I go on any further, this is all for entertainment purposes only. Thank you for watching. I know that my videos are obscure and strange, and I'm not on camera, and boy, that was loud. That came out of nowhere. Listening to the classical music station is super loud right there. Yeah, so, but thanks for watching. Thanks for liking my videos. I appreciate that very much. So I'll just start from the beginning. So we had the Supreme Court tells 45, after he was ordered several times, right, over the last few weeks, to return Kilmar Garcia. And at first he was like, well, we can't. Why? We don't know where he is. And then that went on, or we just can't, we don't know where he is. And then when that didn't work and delayed, we've seen this, right? For the last few years or so, we've seen the tactic to delay everything until a case is just dropped. That's what he's doing. That's what 45 is doing. Delay, lie, for entertainment purposes only. But I felt like they know where he is. They know. See, here's the thing. So 45 has this meeting in the Oval Office with Bukele. Now, Bukele is from El Salvador. Now, if you remember back, what was it, last summer before the election, Don Jr. and Eric, I think it was one of the kids, if not both or all, went down there to talk to Bukele. And remember, everybody's like, Bukele, who's Bukele? And I was like, that's bad, that's bad. I kept getting really bad feelings about Bukele. And I remember I made a video about it. And I said, that's not good. So I looked, there's something underhand going on. They're making deals with Bukele. There's something weird going on there. And I looked it up, and it said that Bukele had his own insurrection, and tried to have a law passed. I don't know if it was passed, but it must be if he's in power right now, where it's okay to have insurrections. Of course, here, we're not allowed to have them. It's against the Constitution, and you're not supposed to run for office if you've held an insurrection, etc. But he did. And then also he had an illegal re-election. Bukele had, let me say that again, this is a fact, go look it up online. Bukele had an illegal re-election. And I remember I was like, ding, there you go. So I had it on my channel here, and I was like, we really need to watch out for Bukele. So here's the thing. So the Trump children all go down there and talk to him and have secret meetings with him before our November 5th event. So clearly they know this guy. And they know he has illegal activities in his country. Illegal elections, re-elections, insurrections. And so they know him. They're making deals with him. They're making deals about this exact thing that's happening now. Death camp. I'm not calling them concentration camps or labor camps. They're death camps. Now, I don't know. I've done different readings on Kilmar, and maybe I don't want to know, I'm too emotional. The first one said he was alive but not doing well and not eating, and there was hope for his return, maybe, but Trump would have to have money. It's like making a hostage deal with our own president to get our hostages back in our own country, for our own country, with, you know what I'm talking about. Money. If somebody brought a whole bunch of money together, 45 would bring back, because he knows where he is. He's known where he's been the whole time. But so the reading said maybe they'll bring him back by September, June, or September. And then the next reading, I've got a really bad feeling in it. Just the death card came out. And then I asked if he's not alive, showed the sun card in reverse, and the sun card in reverse came out. So I don't know. I don't know. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope he's alive. I hope they're all alive. But I have a bad feeling. I have a bad feeling. And here's the thing. So it's premeditated. I do keep getting the word death camps. I do get that 45 knew about these camps and made deals with Bukele before even the election. And so when he says, I don't know where he is, he knows exactly where he is. He knows exactly where he was sent. Maybe he doesn't know which building he was in, but he knows where he was. And so when he told the courts, I don't know where he is, I don't know, he knows. Maybe he doesn't know if he's alive anymore. Maybe that's it. But he knows where he went because he made a deal beforehand to send him to that exact location, tracing back to the kids going to talk to Bukele in El Salvador months and months and months ago. And I just saw 444. So it's all premeditated. Now the Supreme Court says, okay, we're making a ruling. You got to bring him back because he is not a gang member. He is not, didn't break any laws, at least in the last 14 years, so he's clean and clear. So he's an American citizen. You must bring him back. Now, I don't know, is that good cop, bad cop, or they know that he can't bring him back? And so they're trying to play the good cop as a Supreme Court, you know, you take this loss, you take this win, you look good now, you look bad later, you know, you take the heat now, like a parents, good cop, bad cop, playing off each other. We'll act like the good guy right now and say, you have to bring him back. But really, they know that he's already gone because they are in with 45, the Supreme Court. So are they playing good cop right now, knowing that Kilmar's already gone and then Trump plays the bad cop? Here's the other thing. This is all premeditated as well because they want us to know that right before April 20th, and you know what that is, it's supposed to be martial law. Also Easter Sunday. And yes, 45 is already saying that he's Jesus and that he was resurrected. He's already starting to hint at that. But it's used as an example to keep all of us in a state of fear. You scare everyone in the world, in the country, and say, listen, if you get out of line, we're coming for you next. And they already did that. The meeting at the White House in the Oval Office, strategically planned. A public event with reporters. What are we going to say? So that all the American public will hear that we're coming for them next. We're coming for them. We're defying the Supreme Court, and we're coming for the American public next. So now everybody get in line, and we're going to have our helicopters everywhere and the cop cars everywhere and all that. You know what? So everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid. It's all it's all premeditated. Now here's the problem with all of that. Okay. Here's the problem. We're not Germany. You know, when 45 said off tape, which he knew he was on tape. When he said that, homegrowns and build a few more camps. This is a big country. This isn't Germany. Germany was small compared, and Europe small compared to the United States. We're huge. We're a huge country. And if you're going to round up everybody, and then Kristi Noem strategically says too, if you don't love, she said it right there on camera, so all of us would hear it. If you don't love President Trump and the country, then we could send you. You all deserve to be sent out. Strategically said to scare all of us, keep us in line right before April 20th. After this whole thing, Kilmar, we could all be Kilmar, right? We could all be him. It's all strategic. They're doing this to scare the hell out of us. you don't have enough camps. You'd have to build a camp everywhere in America, and you don't have enough money and enough room to build, or in El Salvador, you don't have enough room in this world, because there's 75% or more Americans morally do not, I don't hate the guy, but we don't like 45, and morally we disagree with him. We love America, but we don't love what he's doing to America, right? And we don't love what he does. But if that's the definition, that we don't love him and what he's doing, which nobody could morally love what he's doing, so they send us all off. So yeah, there's a problem with that. You don't have enough camps, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough room, you don't have enough resources to round up all the Americans that don't like him, 45, and what he's doing. We're morally coded to not like what he's doing, just as a survival technique. But anyway, this isn't Germany, and this is a huge country with too many people for him to do that type of thing too. Now you can say, what about the police state? What about helicopters? What about blah, 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 militia? Well, we have a militia, and it's called private citizens everywhere. Am I suggesting that? No, but I'm saying realistically, there's a lot of people with guns out here. And see, the thing about 45 is he thinks that MAGA's been trained enough to shoot their own children at this point. He thinks that he's brainwashed them all so much. And yeah, they're pretty bad. Like, it's pretty bad. But a lot of MAGA have woken up, and I have to tell you that even the guy up the road before the election, he had this huge flag, the front flag, and then the wind kept blowing it down. It blew it down like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, and it wasn't anybody, it was the wind kept blowing it off. And finally, I don't know what it was, I think it was after the inauguration, like a lot of people who saw Elon do the salute, and they finally woke up. I think that's what happened, because that's when the guy finally took that flag down and put it away. So when 45 thinks that the militia of MAGA out there is going to help him in a martial law, he's wrong, because a lot of them have woken up. And again, I think it's 75% of Americans are not in agreement, and a whole bunch of people have they're armed. So plus we have mountains and cave, like the knitting cult lady, she talks about how we're surrounded, our border is not secure, but you can never secure the whole thing. People could escape here or there through the ocean. We have ocean surroundings, we have mountains, terrain, caves, valleys, forests, etc., lakes, etc. You're never going to get everybody. The only way that you could get us would be like we just get nuked, and that the likelihood of that would be that it would be another country, and that would be because 45 is not being held accountable by the Supreme Court. Now, I keep hearing the word court-martial. As a public figure in government, he has court-martialed himself. I'm probably not right in that, but that's what I just heard. And it's like the same type of thing where he by denying the Supreme Court, no matter who's still with him there, he did deny them and should be held accountable. And he's trying to turn on the American public. We have the First Amendment, right? Isn't that our right of freedom of speech? We do not have to we don't have to like somebody. We don't even have to love somebody. We just can't be violent, and you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. But you're allowed to not like him. You're allowed to have anti-American sentiment. You're not allowed to you can't even do that to the flag. I would never do anything to the flag, never. But I think we're allowed to do that. What we're not allowed to do is be violent with each other, and we're not allowed to turn on each other, and we're not allowed to defy the Constitution, which is what he's doing. So you could say, if he starts to say, I'm going to turn my militia on you, 75% of us? 75% of us? Really? I don't think so. So I like what Sterling said. He's repeated that Texas is and I don't like it, but I'm saying that it's better, at least a better scenario, that Texas would be sort of the testing ground for the martial law thing. And again, for entertainment purposes only, none of this is fact. This is opinion, not fact. But they would be Texas, and then what 45 would see is, wow, a lot of the American public does not like to be messed with, and they're armed, and they're defiant by nature. We are a defiant country, no matter what we look like right now, because we look like we're just gaslit, hypnotized, asleep, immobile, weak. That's what we look like. They were just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Well, here's the thing. We do know what to do. It's just that it's a chess game, and a lot of the high players who are there to do what they're supposed to have done already are compromised. So what we need is, we really do need, there's the branch of government that has the right now to take him into custody for this, for defying the Supreme Court, and for saying that he would deport, which would be turning the military against citizens. That's against the Constitution. He really should be in jail for that. Just saying. It's in the Constitution. Don't look at me, look at the Constitution. And you know, people come on in comments, they say, oh, that's wrong because they're illegals, and there's no such thing as illegal. If you're in America, you're a person, and you are allowed due process. And that's the thing about Kilmar and the others. They did not receive due process. And it's found that see again, there's that number, 70% of them do not have criminal records. They were not here illegally. And the only way to have a proper trial and to figure that out is to send them back. They must be sent back one by one. Now the problem is, are they still alive? And the problem is, how do you send them back when you have an obstinate, insane, you know who won't do it, arms crossed, won't do it. That's when you have to have people like representatives go to El Salvador, which is what we should do to get our hostages back, like you would do in any other country, like Jimmy Carter had to do, and others. Biden had to get hostages back from Russia, and North Korea. So we need to send representatives down there, not just here from America, but from other countries. We need to unite the democratic section that's still alive here, awake, needs to go down there. And if they have to send private investigators and drones, that's what we should do. Now, here's the thing, before it leaves me. It's leaving me, I'm getting the brain fart. Because I really do think I channel, and then when that message leaves, it just wipes like a cloth against a chalkboard or a whiteboard. So let me see. Okay, so go down there. We need to get, oh, that's what I was gonna say. So somebody was talking yesterday, and they said, send somebody down there. There's a representative American that wants to go down there and find Kilmar and see if he can talk, blah, 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 blah. And somebody said, oh my God, that's just like when Jim, what's his name? Jim a representative went to Guyana, to Jonestown, to investigate because there was things going on. There were human rights violations. People were starving. They were like skin and bone. And they'd heard this violation of Jim Jones was stealing their pension and the Social Security. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? And all sorts of horrible things going on. So they sent this guy down there to investigate. And then they shot him, and then some others, and Jackie, I can't remember her name, she's in the Congress now. Anyway, it's very similar, isn't it? The Jim Jones figure, because 45 is just like Jim Jones, but they have to send a representative. Now it's dangerous because he could go down there and get shot. It's very similar. But it has to be done. Somebody has to go down there and find out what's going on. We have to find out if they're alive or if they're dead. And if they're dead, then 45 has to be held accountable for that as well. These are scary, dangerous, horrible times. You know, it's not easy, but we must, these are things that, it's here. We've, you know, somebody was talking about constitutional crisis. Yeah, we're already there. Like, it already happened. And it's already, there could have been the point when 45 when you say, okay, it's pretty bad, you did some bad stuff, but legally work with you, blah 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 blah, and then you'll move on and you'll still be remembered as a president of no, it is like the Jim Jones. It's already that bad. Because now people are disappearing and dying, and massive human rights violations, massive. So I do believe people will go down there and investigate, and it's going to be dangerous and perilous, and I would suggest that they bring camera crews and everything is documented. And I also suggest some private investigators, and because we're not dealing with legal good people, we're dealing with like Jim Jones. And somebody's saying, well, I think Jim Jones was better than 45, and I have to say, in some ways, yeah. I mean, I'm not here to cheer on Jim Jones. I've done a lot of research on the guy because of my childhood when my dad was in a cult, and but I have to say that at the end of the day, I think that Jim Jones was actually a better person. He actually did try to love and to unite different ethnicities, and he actually had a utopia, which could be beautiful if people actually followed it, but nobody's ever followed it. Nobody's ever followed that. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe that's just not going to be possible, because the problem is when you become a complete pacifist state, right? Then the bad guy takes advantage of you, and that's what always happens. I mean, it's like picturing a soft butterfly out in the open on top of a rock, and then there's a hawk flying. I mean, there's always going to have to be some part of us that always has a little bit of shielding and protect yourself. We can never really be like, we'll never really have heaven on earth. It's always going to be the shadow side is always going to threaten us. And I think the real threat is always our own self. That's why I always say, know thyself, know your truth. If you know who you are, and you have like an ethics, then you will survive these things because you hold your own self in check. And lastly, I saw something else today about Democrats are ruining everything with their empathy. And I thought, that's just like, the dark side to say that. And here's the thing. We're narcissists and empaths. We're dark, we're light. We're good, bad. We're good versus evil. We're all these things. And the narcissist versus empath thing is the narcissist wants to destroy the empath because they know that they're of heaven, because heaven is compassion. The only way into heaven is love and true compassion, and compassion is knowing another person's pain and wishing to heal it through love. And the narcissist wants to kill it because the narcissist wants darkness. And so whenever I hear someone say, oh, these stupid Democrats and their empathy, and look where we are, empathy is, and holding your own self in check, having an ethical, moral compass, standing alone in a crowd and not saying no, but just saying, I can't do that horrible thing. You all can hate me. You all can hurt me, but I will not do your horrible thing. That's what having a moral compass is. And being an empath means, it's, again, the only way into heaven is compassion. That's the only way. The only way into heaven is compassion. Empathy is the pathway to compassion. If you do not have that, you will never know heaven, ever. Never. Never. And so what's happening down there now, what's happening here and then down there in El Salvador, is like the hell on earth, is the narcissist trying to kill the empath. It's trying to kill the compassion, trying to kill heaven to finally end the battle of good versus evil and dark versus light. But that's not going to happen, because light always wins. Always. Always. light always wins. So they need to send Kilmar people down there to investigate. And it is going to be like Guyana. Somebody might get hurt. Very possible. So they need to document everything. And I've heard a rumor, and I suggested that maybe some people should have chips put in their skin so that they can be tracked. Because it's that type of situation. We're in such secrecy. Anyway, I'll end this now. I'm going to go make cookies. So, thanks for listening. What are my predictions? I always talk about what Spirit wants me to tell you and not so much predictions, and that's okay, I guess. My prediction is well, I think the biggest thing I was supposed to say today was that they can't get all of us. So don't be afraid. This whole thing was orchestrated. It was orchestrated right before April 20th to scare the hell out of us. And they figure if they can make us all silent and scared, and that we'll start to draw lines of who we follow to save our life, to, you know, the fight and flight thing, and that a lot of people will start to allow these indecencies. But they don't know America, and they don't know humanity, and we've already been down that road. And yeah, it's bad, and it's probably going to get worse for a while, but we're not that. And I think that they'll be surprised that we're not weak. We are not weak. And it makes me mad that we have to worry about Easter Sunday, stupid martial law, but that's really what this was all about. It was about to scare us, control us, and then make people turn toward the dark side of fear as a survival, and then they could do whatever they want. No, that's not going to happen. It's not. It's not. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye.